There we are. There we are. Let me turn this off. I don't know if it's better with it off or on. Probably off. Anyways, what is up, dudes, dudettes, and all the beautiful people of the interwebs? It is Saturday, so you know what? It's time to go beyond. Thank you for spending your early mornings, or in this case, afternoons, with us here in the United States of Smash with the Smash Podcast. I am your boisterous host with the most, as always, the never-ending anime king, the man who can talk a mile a minute without taking a single breath. You already know. It's me, your boy, Bloody Nux. I hope y'all all having a wonderful weekend, guys. I appreciate y'all so much. Yes, I know we are starting super late. It happens. Unfortunately, more often than not, especially out here. I was like, if y'all know anything about the state of Texas, probably like some of the other metro states out there for y'all, is that there's never-ending construction. And I swear, it's like every other week, they break in some shit because they're trying to fix other things. And it's so annoying, I'm telling you, with how much they continue to mess up and break around here. Because of everything going on, I was like, they dug up and did changes in work on the road here, and because of that, they ended up knocking out some of the internet lines, and they had to get that repaired early this morning. So we were actually without internet for a bit. So we would have started on time, roughly, if that didn't happen. Now I know the rest of the crew is actually going to be slowly trickling in here. I was like, everyone was out doing early morning errands and stuff like that. I know Jubei is going to be here momentarily. We don't know where Soul is, but Soul is busy running a lot of deliveries right now. He's got his everything that's going on over there with that man with his business. You already know how it is. If y'all haven't already checked out, make sure y'all go and check out Solar Brand and go show that man some love. And Kofi is currently getting groceries because he's being super dad over there, because you know he's a family man. Whereas I am a non-family man because I am a degenerate. But I appreciate y'all, as always, stopping by and hanging out with us, guys. Seriously, I don't know what we would do without y'all. So, with that being said, we got a lot of topics going on today. I was like, we really have a lot of things to show you all, because there have been so many trailers that have recently come out over the past couple weeks, and many that I want to really reveal and talk about with all of y'all, so that way we can kind of all watch it together with all the good stuff that's been coming out. Because one, between trailers as well as just the amount of really everything, honestly, it's been great. But more than anything, there's a couple, not even just trailers that I want to talk to y'all about, but there is a couple of shows that are out that y'all know that your boy wants to talk about. Mainly, there's two, because there's been two that everyone has been asking me about, and I'm going to give my thoughts on both of them, because I have some serious thoughts on a lot of these things right now. Notably is the Scott Pilgrim anime, and more than anything, my thoughts on the YuYuHakusho live action, because when I say that I was asked about this, it was very, very big on why I was asked, because a lot of people know that your boy is a major Yu Yu Hakusho fan. I was like, that's what I grew up with, right? That was probably one of the biggest series for me in animes that really got me into the culture and everything else, being one of the kids who grew up with that during that era of anime here in the West, and kind of being at the forefront of what really made it so popular out here. Yu Yu Hakusho was one of those series for me. Also, I'm wearing my Yokai Watch shirt tonight. But yes, it was one of those series that really solidified my love of the subculture and everything else here in the genre. And because of that, it's very special to me, right? I was like, I'm gonna put it that way. So we already know that there's a very fine line when it comes to live action adaptations for a lot of animes, and there's been a lot more bad than good, but there have been some good ones. I was like, so I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on the live action, and I know some of our crew has some words on that, but especially for Scott Pilgrim is very special to me, because I grew up reading the graphic novel while it was still coming out, like 15 some odd years ago. and I loved the original live action. So I can't wait to talk about the anime. Cause
Oh, can you hear me?
oh shit, there goes my ears. Hang on.
My bad.
Oh
My
crap.
fault.
No, you're good. I did say that we were gonna be slowly working everyone in here. Hang on, I gotta get the camera going.
Am I too loud? Do I need to
No, no,
adjust?
you're good. It just caught me off guard. That's all. I was like it was not you, my boy. It was all me. So
Got you. I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate Gilded because I don't use it outside of this.
don't worry. I was like, it is a work in progress. If
I was
every,
literally like, how the hell do I join this voice channel? And then I see it's like, oh, join voice.
it's like it's literally like the easiest button is like right there. I'm just like, oh,
Yep. Yep.
there we go, kind of. But yes, I was like, everyone, y'all already know who is joining us right now. It's the man himself, our musical maestro right now, the one and only the rap artist that we got here with us, Jubei Sensei, aka the Anbu Smokage. What's going on with you, Jubei?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good weekend so far and not stressing out over the holidays. You feel me?
That
It's good.
is that is facts. I was like, it is not a good time. I was like, holidays are the worst. I was like, because of the fact that it's stressful for everybody, because everybody's pockets be hurting right now. There we go. I was like, I have to.
Everybody, all the time, all the time.
Oh, that's like you're not wrong there. I was like, all the time, everyone's always hurting. I was like, but especially now, I was like, holidays make it
Yep.
worse because it's just like, damn, gotta buy gifts and shit. But yes, guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Like I said, a lot of trailers that we're gonna be showing off here for you all. That we can't wait to talk about because, like I said, big stuff coming. I was like, a lot of new movies, some that are set to be good, some that are set to be bad, and others, like I said, we're gonna be talking about a couple series here. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into the first trailer here for y'all. Now, I'm gonna bring up this one because of the fact that I think a lot of people have a very mixed or a lot of mixed feelings when it comes to this series in particular, and that's specifically Spider-Man because I think everyone loves Spider-Man, right? However, what people don't like is the Sony Spider-Verse that they're doing over there because there's been a lot of a lot of bad movies than there are good ones here. And they recently put out the trailer for the newest uh, movie in their ever encompassing Spider Verse. And that is with Madam Web. And I know many people love the character of Madam Web and everything else that she encompasses. But I know there are some people who may not necessarily be excited for this because they think that the trailer is definitely not doing it any sort of justice. So I gotta ask you, uh, Jube, have you watched the trailer yet?
I have. Um, I'm not a fan. I don't know if I'm gonna see it. I might wait. Till
You,
later.
he's just like, oh, he's like, yeah, I'm already not for it. Oh no.
I don't
You,
want to say trailers run everything, but like if
if
I'm not moved on the first impression,
he's
like it's
like,
gonna go on the
he's
back
like,
burner.
if it does not catch me in the first like at least 15 seconds to be like, okay, this looks interesting. He's like, yeah, I'm not with it.
Right. Exactly.
I was like, and I think that is a very fair assumption for everyone here. I was like, some of these trailers be giving out too much, and other times these trailers not doing enough to really sell it. And
Sometimes the trailer be better than the movie.
oh
Like
god,
you be like, I'll just go back and watch the trailer over again because you just gave me the best parts. The movie
exactly.
trash.
Like Morbius.
Don't even get me started on that. Oh my god.
What, you don't believe in Morbin time right now?
Absolutely not.
He said nope. He said we're not doing that. So for everyone who has not seen the trailer, for the few of you that are out there, I was like, here is the trailer that I'm gonna put right here on the screen for you all, so that way y'all can watch it. Why do you care for me? Why do you know? All right, so let's get that going right there. So I'm gonna just put that volume down.
Come on, get your stuff.
But yeah,
Let's
no,
go.
I was like, I definitely agree that there are some trailers out there that really do be better than the whole movie, because it's just like when you watch the whole movie and you see everything put together, it's just like, all right, well, this did not do anything for me.
Let's try that again.
After watching through, it's just like the
A week ago,
trailer
I spent
can
my
probably
life
catch
racing
my
against
attention,
time.
right? And I'm just like, all right, let me really check this out. And then when you go out and watch it, I'm just like,
People who are
no.
running out of it.
It's like, why?
Till one moment.
And I was like, you think that Spider and I don't know what's going on with the Sony Spider films, right? It's like, you think that so many of these characters and villains are actually really interesting and dope. Like, if you want to talk about like its own super universe within the Marvel Cinematic Universe or comic universe and stuff like that, is that Spider-Man is so deep and so extensive that you have all these great villains, all these other great spider characters, and a lot of stuff that's like multiversal compared to a lot of other characters within the Marvel world. So it's like, how are you going so far out of your way to ruin these representations? Like, the only thing that's been good is the Miles Morales animated Spider films. And it's just like, how is it the fact that your animated films are better than your live actions? I was like, you literally are what, 5 for 5? Like, don't get me wrong, I love Venom. I was like, but I didn't expect to go see those, to see the Venoms that we know. I was looking for I wanted those ones, like, I was like, all right, I know how Tom Hardy is. I kind of see what they're trying to do with this Venom, with the symbiote. I was like, so I'm gonna let this play out a little bit differently. And honestly, I like the first two Venom films, but everything else that they've put out in the Sony Spider-Verse has not been enjoyable.
That's mad fair. I think they suffer from that DC-itis, where the only good thing that they're putting out is the animated shit. Because DC can't catch a break outside of a couple of bangers here and there. They can't catch a break with their live action at all.
Oh my goodness! I was like, you're not wrong there. I was like, honestly, I think that's what I was like. It's hard to think about, but that is absolutely true, right? Is that DC? I've always said is that DC does good animated films. They do not do good live action films. Whereas Marvel themselves were doing really great live action films, but not necessarily good animated films. Some of their animated films are all right, but a lot of their animated films were not as great as what you were expecting on the live action side. And that was before they put out like What If. Like, What If was amazing. I was like, I think we can all agree on that. But Marvel has so many animated shows. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. It kind of just depends on what channel that they're coming out on. Like the Spider-Man on the Adventures of Spider-Man and whatever, that was like on the Disney Channel for a while. Those ones were good. I was like, it was obviously kid friendly, but I do like how they were able to slip in the adult humor, especially when you think about when they had the episodes with Deadpool on there. When I still remember how they made it kid friendly. He's just like, they had Deadpool show up and he's like, hey, we're gonna break in there and we're gonna go stop those bad guys. He's like, don't tell me you're gonna kill them. He's like, wow, it is bad when you say it out loud, but yes, we're gonna unalive them. And I'm just like, yeah, that's exactly what I would expect him to say when he's making a joke about killing. But it's just like, right now I think both Marvel and DC are in this weird spot, because you think that Marvel, while they still do really great spectacular live action films, everyone's starting to get the lull when it comes to their live action. They're like, what are we gonna do with the MCU? Is it time for basically just like a reset and kind of space it back out? Because you think that before we used to get like maybe 1-2 movies a year or every other year, right? Now we're getting like 7-8 projects within a single year, and it's just like, all right, you're starting to feel the burnout, right? Whereas DC is trying to play so fast catch up that everything looks rushed, doesn't feel cohesive, and it most of the time it's just lackluster stories. You know what I'm saying? I think the first Aquaman was enjoyable, and same with Shazam. Like the first Shazam film were probably my favorite films, right? But everything else DC put out, I did not really care about. Although the Batman with Robert Pattinson was actually surprisingly really good. My God.
Pat Bat real good. Pat Bat is real good.
I was like, I know that we were ripping on him years ago when he got announced for that live action, but you know what? After seeing his actual performance and everything in it, I was like, he sold a real young Batman really well. Like, I agree with what people said is that he's a good Batman, but he's not necessarily a good Bruce Wayne.
Exactly.
I can understand that. I was like, when he was in the suit and he was doing his thing, I was like, he kicked ass, but he did not sell the young playboy philanthropist billionaire that we all know that Bruce Wayne to be. But
And that
even
was my main problem with it, just the lack of Bruce Wayne. Like Batman, all good. But like
exactly,
his Bruce Wayne just left a lot to be desired. Because I'm like, who is this emo fuck, bro? Like
yeah,
you know,
exactly,
Bruce Wayne is out. He's mingling. He's getting chicks. You know what I mean? Like he has to have that public persona. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
this dude's just locked up in a house somewhere. Like
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't to me.
No, no, no. I completely agree. And you know what? Winter over there in the chat mentioned this. He said a lot of these shitty looking films just scream contract protection. And honestly, that's what some of these are. I was like, we know that 100% this is about putting out a film. Because think about that's what Fox did for so long with the X-Men films, is that they were just putting out enough of the movies to be able to keep on to the license. And that's what it is. It's all about protection. Whether it's good or bad, they don't care. All that they have to do is put out something to keep the rights to it. And it's unfortunate because for the fans of those films or those series, it doesn't do it justice, and it does not do anything in the wider scheme of things on being entertaining for people as a whole. And that's the key about it. Like we said, DC does not have good live action, but there are those few. And like you, Jubei, I completely agree. Is that the Batman is a great detective noir story with Batman in it, right? I'll say, but the Bruce Wayne aspects with him out of the suit didn't sell me because of the fact that you look at some of the animated films, and I can't remember which one it is exactly. But there's the film where Gordon is like trying to find Batman and who he is, and he thinks that it's Bruce Wayne, right? And then when he goes over to Bruce Wayne's house with his wife, he sees Bruce is sleeping with some supermodel, right? And she mentioned, she's like, how can you like a pig like that? It's just like, I don't think that's who he is, until you realize later on that Bruce acts like a playboy and whatever out in public because of the fact that he's trying to have a whole different personality, right? And I think that's the biggest key point about all that, is that you have to have that separation when you're trying to do things like that, And it's unfortunate that some of these live actions end up suffering because of it, and that's the big key, is trying to make sure that we keep those. It's messing up on me. It's trying to keep that all there, and that's the big thing, is some of these don't feel like they're passion projects and people who really pay attention to the source material. And while I'm gonna go see Madam Web, let's be 100% honest, I see basically all these films because if I'm gonna talk shit, I want to properly talk shit. I was like, and if I'm thoroughly surprised, I will be thoroughly surprised, because I've done that before. I was like, whether a movie's good or bad, I can write it off in the very beginning, but I'm still gonna go do it, so that way if I'm gonna completely like dunk on it, I'm gonna dunk on it properly, because I don't believe if you can dunk on anything without having experienced it. And you're right,
That's
Winter. I was like, they own a. I was like, Sony owns so much percentage of the Spider-Verse characters that they have to use them. And unfortunately, some of these are really good characters that aren't getting properly utilized, and that's why we're getting bad films. And that's the only ones that and that's the reason why they have this whole Spider Sony verse, and it's not working out for them whatsoever. I was like, yes, and that's what we mentioned, is that the Venom films really enjoyable, both the first one and the second one with Carnage. I was like, because I like the Lethal Protector storyline. I like seeing the other symbiotes as they kind of popped up with everything. More than anything, the animated films are top tier. I can't wait to see the third film in the Miles Morales Spider-Verse trilogy, because I want to see how they cap it all off. Because if they went Spider-Man 2099 for Across the Spider-Verse, I want to know what they do to finish finish it off. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a really great movie. Like, so good. You got any final thoughts you want to say on this here, Jubei, my boy?
Um, biggest thing for me is they have all these stories already mapped out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not take the time and flesh out live actions? I would love to see a live action of something like The Killing Joke or something. You know what I mean? Use that in between big ass movie releases, and then your big ass movie release can be something original to your cinematic universe, whatever you want to call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can garner that hype and that goodwill with fans to get them even interested in seeing what you want to throw out there by trying to retell some of those stories. Like it's not necessarily hard. They already have the blueprint for all this. It's like there's comic books for all this.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, putting that into a movie format, that therein lies the rub. But if they can do something like that, like they can minimize on, yeah, we just got to throw out like 10 shows to try to make this point where 10 shows, 3 movies, and then next year you get the big movie where all these storylines kind of intertwine in your own thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
there's ways to do it.
Without a
It's
doubt.
just
And that's the thing
wish
is
that
like,
they would.
do you think that's why the whole Infinity Saga for Marvel worked so well? Because the fact that you had someone who knew the stories with Kevin Feige. You knew that he was someone who was passionate about making enjoyable, really good films, right? He wanted it to be really done. Is like it wasn't about anything. It was about making great films, and that he wanted to tell these grand stories across years to build up properly, like a comic book event. You think about comic books. Some of these events are like years in the making. I was like, think about the first time we got Secret Wars and then we got Battle World. I was like, you're talking about 5 to 10 years worth of comics and characters leading up with little bits to this massive, like 5, 6 mini comic book events, right? Across specifics and then maybe its own special series. Those are something special that they were trying to do with films. And now a lot of things aren't doing that. And it's unfortunate because now we're getting just subpar films. And it's just like, why? It's like, this isn't what we want as fans. It's like, give us the good shit.
Right. I think we should only honestly get a film. If they're going to stick with the TV show route, use that TV show to build up the big films. Don't just drop, like, I want the film to have meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Marvels, I liked it personally, but I feel like there's still something else that could have been done there. I think the Marvels could have honestly been a TV series, 6, 7 episodes. Call it good. Move on and use that to build up like a bigger movie. The fact that we are when did the first Iron Man come out?
Iron Man came out in 2008.
So 14 years, 15 years, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
15 years. We haven't sniffed Doctor Doom in this cinematic universe, bro. Like he don't even exist. Like he don't matter.
Right.
He matters.
And you know what? 3 years ago, in 2000, I believe I said in 2019 or 2020, literally before we ended up taking our long hiatus and everything else, right after we got Endgame, I literally mentioned that what they should do now that they finally took down Thanos, and that was during the Fox acquisition, that with the Infinity Saga as an end, and they started dabbling with the multiverse theories, and showing that. I literally said when they finished acquiring Fox, that what they should do is let the MCU stay its own thing, let the Fox films, rework the X-Men and everything else, and the whole mutants aspect in their own universe, and all work towards doing Secret Wars, and then leading into Battleworld and introducing Doctor Doom as the big bad, because I said that they could use Galactus to start kind of teasing everything, but literally lead it all into Battleworld and introduce Doctor Doom as like the overall big bad with his role as the Beyonder, because that literally shows the like top tier badassness of Doctor Doom. And probably one of the best storylines. And I was halfway right, like 85% right. They're doing Secret Wars. I was like, we already know that they've been doing the multiverse theory. I still believe that with the way that they did Doctor Strange, the way that they told Ant-Man and everything else, that they are still going to lead into Battleworld. I was still like 85% right on everything, and that's how much of a fucking nerd I am. I just don't know if they're going to use and introduce Doctor Doom as the Beyonder if they do Battleworld, because that's what it's showing, because they keep talking about all the events, how these universes are colliding and stuff like that. I'm just like, that's fucking Battleworld. I was like, that is Battleworld to the T, especially with the fact that they're already stated that they are doing Secret Wars. And I'm just like, if they do not introduce the Beyonder and they do not show that it's Doctor Doom, I will be absolutely upset, because that literally gives us the most badass version of Doctor Doom that there ever was. Because when I read the Battleworld series and I saw that and had that revelation, I was mind blown, because one, Doctor Doom is a badass, like probably the greatest villain slash anti-hero, because it all depends on his mood at the time. But that man is so well done, and there has not been a great interpretation of him in any of these live action films to date.
He's literally the main Marvel villain that beats himself. Like, no, like, you can't say, oh, Fantastic Four, anybody beat his ass. It's his hubris. He beats himself. Only he can beat him. Like, that's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he'll have the Fantastic Four in like a situation, right, and be like, you won, bro. Like, literally, you could literally just kill them right now, but you want to see what they'll do. Like, you literally leave the door open for them to come back, and you end up taking an L. Like,
and even when he takes an L, it's not even really an L. It's just the fact of he wants to see how the situation folds, if they'll do what he expects them to do and he can still smack them down, or they do something different. Anything. Half the time, he's let them purposely leave. I was like, remember,
exactly. That's my whole point. Yes, he'll like, bro, like,
he's like,
you're only here because I willed it. Bro.
Exactly. He doesn't need to prove anything. Look. One of my favorite storylines when it comes to Doctor Doom, right, is of when the Fantastic Four are in danger, and Reed Richards and Sue Storm's daughter from the future comes and goes to Doctor Doom and says, "Can you help me save my parents and my family?" And he's just like, he looks at her and he sees Sue and he's like, you know what? I will. And he's like, that's my niece. I'll do whatever she asked me to do. And he's like, you're only alive because she asked me to save you. I want you to understand that. He's like, I would do anything for this girl. He's like, I don't care what happens to you. I'm just like, that is cold for him to do. He's just like, you're only alive because your daughter asked me to save you. And that's what... Go ahead.
And that's why I like him as a villain. That's exactly why I like him as a villain. Because you got shit like that. Like, you ain't gonna get that from Thanos. You know what I mean?
Nope. And
Doom will give that to you.
Doom will give that to you. I was like, out of all the smartest minds in the universe, he is the most intelligent. That's why the Watchers themselves fear him, because of the fact that they know he's too smart for his own good. Which is why when he became the Beyonder, it was so dope because of that storyline.
Facts. It's facts.
Yep. And Winter brings up a good point. He's just like, yeah, that's why that's why with Marvel not really setting up much with the cosmic stuff is leading to Annihilation with Nova and everything else. I was like, there's so much more that could have been done, especially on the cosmic side, that they're wanting to dabble into, but they're not doing a lot with it.
Yeah. We haven't honestly seen Galactus, really. Like, we haven't seen any true cosmic entity big bads even come anywhere close to this cinematic universe.
Yep. I was like, I mean, we got a lot of dabbling with so many of the Celestials, but it was still on a smaller scale. I mean, you think that we found out the truth in the Celestials with the Eternals and all that stuff here, yet that still didn't set up anything here. I mean, they introduced Black Knight and stuff like that with Kit Harington and everything else at the end, and I think that's when they were teasing Blade originally and stuff like that. So there's stuff coming, hopefully, but that's, I was like, with Blade and Dark Knight, that's more going into the supernatural, which you already have with Doctor Strange, Werewolf by Night, and Moon Knight and stuff like that. But it's just like, I want proper cosmic, like, baddies. I was like, don't get me wrong, I was like, it was cool that we got to see Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but again, he was a focus on that storyline with everything else, not long term. I was like, and we know that there haven't really been a lot of focus. I mean, yeah, they brought in what was it? Who was the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy 3 again? Uh,
Good question. I don't think here's my shameless admission. I haven't watched Volume 3 yet.
Oh, dude, I was like, you need to
I'm not,
watch
I have
Volume
no idea.
3 because it will make you cry. The fact on how much they went into Rocket's background, which if you've read the comics, Rocket is messed up. Rocket has literally been super messed up, and actually seeing it in the way that they handled it was so good. It really was so well done. And yeah, Winter, it seems like they're doing a reverse of the Secret Wars because they're doing Kang for Secret Wars 1 and Doctor Doom when it was originally Doctor Doom for the first Secret Wars and Battle World, and then Kang the Conqueror for Secret Wars 2. So it's all going to be very, very interesting. I was like, how it all plays out. But that's like when it comes back to everything, is that Madam Web is gonna be interesting for what Sony's doing with their Sonyverse, right? And like I said, I'm gonna watch it simply because of the fact that I believe in watching stuff that I'm gonna dunk on, so that way I can properly dunk on it. So y'all will hear my thoughts when that movie does come out. But one thing that does look good that I think a lot of us are excited for here is the Fallout series. I would say, if y'all didn't watch the Game Awards, the trailer that they dropped, it looks visually spectacular with the fact that they are going for pure aesthetic accuracy in the world of Fallout. Because I think that is one of those things that if you don't get the aesthetic and the look right, it is not going to come out right. I was like, because Fallout, you can do whatever you want in the world of Fallout. Because of the fact that it's such a big universe, there's hundreds of years that you can do your own story set if you understand the canon, and it would be perfectly okay. But if you don't match the look of it, it's not going to be all right. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Like Fallout's a big ass sandbox. Like the as long as the aesthetic and the visuals and everything's there, whatever story you want to tell is whatever story you want to tell. But it has to feel like Fallout. You got to have mutants. You got to have you have to have that setting. You have to have that weird faux 1940s 50s underlying vibe going on. And that trailer hit on all of those points. Like I have no idea where they're gonna go with that story, but it looked 100% like Fallout. Looking at that, I'm like, there's no denying like this is Fallout. Yeah. And that's really all you need. Like story be damned. Like not saying I want it to be bad or anything, but like they could literally be like, yeah, we're gonna this is gonna be basically they could tell like a story like the Megaton story from Fallout 3. You got a big ass bomb in the middle of town or some shit, and cool. Like you have so much to play with and do. They could take it to, what if these people never left the vault? You could totally do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a thing. I am deeply excited to see where they go with that, but visual wise, aesthetic wise, and like tone wise, they hit that. We're good there. Even the music was on point. Like I literally felt like I had loaded up Fallout.
Right? I was like, and the fact of that when they brought out the crew to introduce the trailer during the awards, I was like, they had that classic Inkblot song with "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire," and I'm just like, you know what? You cannot think of Fallout without immediately thinking of that song, because that was like the song of Fallout 3. And I was like, and I still think about that song when I was playing like Fallout 4 and New Vegas, and I'm just like, oh yeah. Every time I hear that song, I'm just like, I immediately think of that 60s vibe of Fallout and everything else.
Yep.
So for those who haven't seen the trailer, we're going to go ahead and bring that on right up here for y'all right now. So that way y'all can take a look at that.
Fallout.
I was like, and you know what? I was like, I agree that
Hello there.
it's going to be so good because they really did match the aesthetic just perfectly, right? I was like, they had the feeling. I was like, the fact of how good the power armor looked. Like, holy hell, did it look great. the monsters actually look like they're mutated. They got the look of the animatronics, like all the handymen and stuff like that. But not only that, but the ghouls, like they actually went practical effects and not like CGI and stuff like that, which is what makes it so good.
War never changes.
Because if you think about like the classic, you think of like classic TV shows and especially like classic horror movies, right? Think of The Thing, right? The Thing was so spectacular and amazing because that was all practical effects. And what they're doing with a lot of what's going on in Fallout, the series, yeah, it's gonna have some visual effects and it's gonna have to use some CGI. But they made the actual power armor. They made it look as detailed and accurate as possible. And then, of course, with the ghouls, which we know are people who are partially irradiated and burned away and stuff like that, to have that real steady look and have it be more practical and actually look lifelike and not this really off-putting CGI look has me stoked about what they're doing with the Fallout series or with this TV series that's going to be coming out. And the thing is, it's coming out relatively soon. That's the biggest thing, is that we've known about this series for only about a year or so, and just like last month we got a date. It's coming out in April, and now we got a full trailer on what it's going to look like. And if this is what they're doing, I am full on board with what Amazon is working on with this series. And I was like, and you know what? Whatever Bethesda and Microsoft money that they put to fund this is going to make this look as visually spectacular as they did with Halo. I don't care what you say about this story about Halo. I enjoyed it because it was different. But yes, I know that's not the Halo that we know. But you cannot watch that series and not say that visually it was not well done. And it looks like they're going for a second round on visual representation with Fallout, but it looks like this one's actually going to be good. What are your thoughts here?
I just want to see what the death claws look like, man. Show me a death claw. Let me see what y'all really rocking with. As far as terrorizing monsters in the Fallout verse.
I mean, you are not wrong. I would say the death claws will be a very big key point there on how it all looks and comes out here.
I need to make sure that sense of dread, like when you see a death claw pop up, like I need that to be tangible. And I honestly think, like, even with what you said with Halo, like, yeah, like visually it was Halo. It was totally fun. It's just that story, Master Chief out here.
Yeah, he was
never.
He's hunting down that cake, man. I was like, and he had it throwing at him. I was like, between the other chick that's connected to the Forerunners, and then that other Spartan who was like, he had ass thrown at him left and right.
Yep.
I was gonna say, but I was like, the Master Chief we know only wants to clap Cortana's cheeks in his mind.
Yeah, he wants that digital love.
Oh yeah. I was like, there you go. He wants that digital love right there. I was like, hey, look, I mean, that's why Daft Punk wrote a song about it. Perfect for him. But yeah, I was like I said, despite whatever y'all may say about the story, you cannot say that visually it was not spectacular.
Yeah, definitely.
So right now, what Fallout Amazon's series is doing is they're capturing that same look and beauty when it comes to the magic, and I all I know is that I'm excited for it. I was like, I cannot wait to see what comes with it and how it's gonna go.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it. Like, I mean, I don't really, I won't say like I'm like super into watching Amazon shows. Like I gave I as a Wheel of Time reader, I gave the Wheel of Time a chance, and I was disappointed. So,
oh no!
So I'm hoping this is better than that.
I mean,
for sure, but visually, it looks like it should be.
I was like, visually, it definitely looks really, really good. So we're gonna see how it goes. I was like, if they can do a great story, then I'm all for it. I was like, and it looks like they might actually be able to do that. Honestly, they can tell a whatever kind of story. As long as it matches the vibe of Fallout, I'm okay with it. I was like, that's all I need. That's how sold I am on it right now, right? And you know, you're actually the opposite person I've heard about Wheel of Time. I've heard that some people really, really like the Wheel of Time books, even though they changed quite a bit, because I read the book myself.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people really loved it. I was like, so hearing the fact that you weren't too happy with it, I find that interesting.
I was not like I didn't like what they did with Perrin and stuff. Like there's just things about it that I'm just like, what is this nonsense? But I'm a purist in that way. Like especially if it's like a long ass book series like The Wheel of Time, like you don't get like 12, 13 books and don't get attached. You know what I mean? Like it's like I don't expect much deviation from this because there's too much lore and text and things for you to read off of for you to hopefully not fuck it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like they just found ways to fuck it up. Like visually, it was cool. Like this is what I was kind of picturing in my head with a lot of the things. Just reading it, but there's just other things that I'm just disappointed about. Like there's it's still going to be ongoing. There's going to be other seasons, so hopefully it'll get better. But I don't trust Amazon 100%.
I will say with some of their live actions, I was like, it can be touch and go. But I mean, that's why we have series like The Boys, which is just
the Boys is fantastic, absolutely great. You know, like we have good stuff here. I just needed to be consistent with it. And as long as I think this show might have full backing from Microsoft and stuff. So let's see where it goes. But that first trailer had me like, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all had the right people in the room.
Yeah, exactly. They had the right people making the decisions here to make sure that they were getting the right funding and going with the right look. And I think that's what's making it all the better for it. Now, speaking of Amazon and speaking of continuations, we finally got the newest trailer for The Boys Season 4. And I don't know about y'all, I'll say, but I have said that I love shows like The Boys, and of course, like they have their spinoff with Gen V, and then you have shows like Invincible and even Watchmen, right? I love that surrealism and kind of flipping the script on what we know about superheroes, which is really kind of showing the darker side of things here and kind of really what's the word, changing the perspective on what we have on them, right? It's giving us a much different look, and I love it because of the fact that it has a lot of social commentary. It does a really well representation, and the fact of that, even though it's taking a lot of liberties with the original source material, with the graphic novels and the comics that it's based off of, it still feels accurate of a portrayal to what we know. And I had loved Gen V after season 3, and I've been so hyped waiting for season 4 to come out because I know it's coming out next year. But they finally gave us the trailer, and my God, are we about to see Homelander really go off the deep end? Have you seen the trailer?
I have.
I can't wait to get your thoughts. So for those who haven't seen the trailer, here is the official trailer for season 4. And I gotta say, do you think that they're gonna do the White House storyline in this one?
They have no choice. This story ain't right without what I hope is going to happen at some point within the next season or two.
Yeah, and with the way that
it's ingrained, like it's a thing. It's totally a thing.
It is indeed a thing. I was like, and with them already been using Singer and Newman and everything else here, let's say they've been pushing towards it so much here to go for the White House storyline.
The people will.
Yeah, they don't have you have to. You have to.
You
literally be leaving out key lore if you don't.
Yeah, I was like, it's not even just key lore. I was like, you'd be literally, if you do not do this storyline, you would literally be leaving out not even just lore. It was probably the biggest driving force for Billy Butcher and the boys, because the White House storyline is a culmination of everything that Butcher had been working towards.
to watch their balls crush.
Facts. One of my favorite things about The Boys is like it literally shows you like it's a realistic portrayal of if superpowers are real, this is how people would act. Like no, honestly, realistically speaking, nobody's gonna be Superman in real life. You feel me? Like they're gonna have vices. They are going to do all sorts of shady shit just because that's human nature.
It is. And that's what I love is that it literally changes and provides that darker look on the side of things because of the fact that especially when you think that you have corporations involved and there's money involved, they're gonna do whatever satisfies the corporations. They're gonna do whatever satisfies the pockets, the advertisers, all that good shit. And I was like, that's what always happens because we could say, oh, we're gonna do this for the good of the world. We're not gonna sell it. No, I was like, realistically, there's going to be sellouts. There's gonna be aspects of it. That's how it goes, right? We know. And I was like, and the fact that they were not afraid to go all in and really show some of the vices that some of these characters have. I mean, literally look at episode 1 of season 3. I was like, that's all I'm going to say because if you know that is some I was like, I don't like going extreme with my vulgarity in here, but that was some fucked up shit that we saw because dudes were all over on some mad sugar booger over there and literally going into places that they should not have been and people get affected by it. So like I said, if you know, then you know. And the fact is that all of this is culminating to the big showdown. We saw part of the fight with Homelander and Butcher, and of course, they also had Soldier Boy. I was like, they had that big fight scene. Then of course, Huey also got involved in that. But the real showdown does not happen until the White House story when it's just Billy and just Homelander after everything that they had been dealing with over years and all culminates. And if they don't do it this season, they have to do it in the next season if they set up the ending of this season with what we think is where it's gonna be, because they have to, because that's what leads to the fall. Because without that, the fall will not make sense on what happens afterwards. Because you obviously read the comics, you know about the fall after the White House, you know where it all leads to. I was like, if they do not do that, the fall will not have the impact that it did.
Exactly. Here's hoping. And I said like this season or next. Like they got 2 seasons to do it. At this point, we're too close.
We really are too close. And honestly, I trust them because they have proven that they know what they're doing with this because they're doing the right. They have the visual look. They have the storytelling down. I was like, they're doing the characters right, even if they're making changes and liberties. Especially think of like how they're handling Frenchie and Kimiko and everything else here. They made changes to those characters, but they still feel accurate of portrayals on the characters themselves from the comics. So I have faith that they're going to do it. I just hope that they do it. They have to do it soon. Don't drag it out. Don't do like some of these other series. Don't do like Attack on Titan where it's the final season over, 5 years. We ain't doing all that. We ain't doing that. No. I was like, if you're going to do it right, do it well, and, do it in a timely manner. All right. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, they could even set it up where, the Thing is literally the first episode of the next season. Like if all of this falls into place, they could literally start the next season off with that and then go. Mm-hmm. So either way, it has to happen. And I hope they do the source material justice, even if they have to make, alterations and changes to fit. What they currently have.
I completely 100% agree. I was like, if they set up the White House story for the showdown to be at the very beginning of the next season, and basically like set it up to be that's where it all ends this season, and then that picks up and leading into the fall with the next season, I'd be happy with that, right? But even if they don't, they have to set up the showdown at some point, if not this season, in the next season. If not right away, put it at least halfway. Don't go all the way to the end of the season because that's gonna extend the White House storyline a little bit too much.
Yep.
That's my beliefs on what they should do here to keep it with looking as great as they have been. Now, speaking of classic series, I think many of us all know and love Mad Max. I was like, we love post-apocalypse, and looking at Fallout, I think there's very few post-apocalyptic storylines that have as much of a storied history as the Mad Max series. And I gotta say, I remember watching Into the Thunderdome when I was probably 11 because my dad had the old VHS for the Mad Max films, right? So I remember watching that and was just completely mind blown when I saw that. And then when a few years ago, when they made Fury Road and how spectacularly visual that they did, and all of that was like actual practical effects. They made those cars and were literally, I believe it was in the Australian deserts or whatever, that they did all the driving and actually captured it on cinematography, on actual cars moving, driving, all that stuff, and then just animated in the dust storms and everything else, obviously, right? But the fact is that Fury Road was so damn good that I was like, I really hope that they did more Mad Max films. I was like, especially when they introduce a character like Furiosa. Well, now we're getting just that, as we're getting a prequel following Furiosa in her early years and a new Mad Max saga with a brand new trailer. Now, Jube, have you seen Fury Road? Have you seen the trailer for Furiosa? And what is your history with Mad Max?
I have not seen the new trailer. I did watch Fury Road. I did watch the Mel Gibson originals also. I'm in there. I'm in there. I'm savvy. I'm hip. To the verse there. I I haven't got around to watching that trailer. But
Yeah.
From what you've said, and from what I've seen, like I see people talking about it. Um, if it's anywhere near as good as Fury Road was, we're in for a treat.
Oh, without a doubt. So for those who haven't seen it, this is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga here. So I'd wonder if they're gonna going from here that they're gonna jump back into. They're gonna do another film that takes place after Fury Road. If this one is supposed to be a prequel for the earlier years of Furiosa.
Yeah, could be. I mean, George Miller out here making a killing.
I know, dude. George Miller has been on some sort of kick, and he's killing it with everything that he's been working on. I was like, it's great. I was like, and you know what? It's amazing that this is coming from. This is great when you think that's coming from Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers has been on a whole trip, right? We don't.
Yep.
I was like, Warner Brothers is all over the place. And I was like, and we don't know what the hell is going on with them. I was like, they do good and then they do bad, and they do shady and then they do shitty, and then they do something good again. It's just like, can you get it together, WB, please? I was like, between the games that y'all are doing and everything else, you're all over the place. I was like, the only thing that they got going on that's great right now, besides hopefully this, because it looks so damn good, is what's it? The Lord of the Rings of Power. I say,
Yep.
I've heard nothing but high praises for Rings of Power, and that makes me excited because of the fact that I'm a total nut for Lord of the Rings. I was like, anything that they have so much that they could take for, and especially if they even touch on half the things in the Silmarillion. I was like, there's so much to the world of the Middle Earth that could still be utilized. But just looking at this has me just so excited.
I'm Furiosa!
The darkest of angels.
Because look at this.
It looks dope.
I know. I was like, and the fact that how much they like stepped up on the car combat, which I'm just like, hell yeah. That's what has me so
Make it epic.
beautiful, man.
Why do I feel like Chris Hemsworth is using his old Thor costume?
he's using the fat Thor. It's like the Big Lebowski Thor right there with the beard. Yeah. But I was just like, it looks so good, and I'm just like, you know what? I was like, honestly, I always said that Mad Max has such a great world with it being a very unique take on the post-apocalypse, right? That road warrior kind of post-apocalypse where, you know, everything's just dirt and it's so hard to get supplies, and the only way to travel is literally these crazy, insane cars. It's why I think a lot of us, like me especially, love Fist of the North Star, because it has that same kind of aesthetic that Mad Max has. I was like, and it does it in this crazy way with this insane martial arts, right? I was like, I love Fist of the North Star, and I think that's why I always really loved Mad Max. And there was so many more characters that could be focused on besides Max himself. And I was like, and that's why when they introduced Furiosa, I was so hyped. And now that we're getting more of her and potentially newer characters to tell other stories within that universe is great, you know? And I think that's what matters the most is being able to tell more intense and more unique storylines within that universe, because that's what helps to sell it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't give a date just yet. Oh yeah, they said sometime in 2024. So next year is when we're gonna be getting Furiosa. I was like, and all I know is that I'm gonna be there opening night, and I was like, and we're gonna talk about it because, like I said, I love me some Mad Max. So do be expecting us to cover these things, because we will absolutely cover these things. And the last trailer we have here for you guys is the fact of that we all love kaiju, we all love big monsters. I was like, and right now, Godzilla has been proven that he is still the king after almost 60 years of running the game. I was like, no one can touch the king, right? Anything that he has, it's TV series right now with Monarch. We just recently had Godzilla -1, which showed the pure destructive side and natural disaster of the king. But right now we also have the other films that have been coming out. That recently we got Godzilla versus Kong, right? And we got to see a very different take on the King of Monsters, ready to throw hands with everybody and anyone to protect. We get to see the Protector Godzilla and the Destroyer Godzilla, and I love it. Well, now Godzilla and Kong are teaming up to take on more shit like always, because they're ready to throw hands with everything. And I gotta say that literally Godzilla versus Kong was just nothing but monster battles, and I'm excited for New Empire. Because looking at this, I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. I was like, if they want to fight, I'm all for it. I was like, let them fight. I was like, I'm literally going to be like Serizawa, just like, let them fight.
For most of humans,
Because we got so many different versions of Godzilla out right now. I was like, you know what? I just want one that's all about throwing hands.
that life could only exist.
Have you seen the trailer for this, Jubei? I was like, have you?
I have.
And what are your thoughts?
I'm excited for it. My problem with this particular Godzilla verse is I feel like King of the Monsters came too soon.
What else?
I will agree that I do feel that King of the Monsters came too soon, especially since you think that they brought in like the big hitters. You think they brought in Rodan, they brought in Ghidorah, but also don't forget that at the end of the series or at the end of the movie, they set up all the other Titans and all the other monsters that were summoned because of Ghidorah. They didn't kill them. They just all know to bow to the king, and they all went off. Like we still have the spider. We still have the lava creatures and stuff like that. There's still a lot that are out there that we don't know.
What is that?
Oh, true. But my like I said, my main thing is
That's
like
not Kong.
I feel like King of the Monsters should have been the last thing. You know what I mean? It should have been.
What could have done this?
He's fought everybody else, but now it's like, where do you go? Like he's not gonna have a threat outside of like Space Godzilla or something. He's not gonna have a real threat outside of King Ghidorah.
Well, I mean, Mecha Ghidorah is also a threat.
It's still Ghidorah though. That's what I mean. Like outside of Ghidorah, he doesn't have like another big bad threat.
I was like,
in
yeah,
their particular because it's like when you try to compare, it's like, no, you're not standing up to that. like,
oh yeah. No, I feel that. I was like, but you think that there's still so many other monsters that they never.
It's literally going to come down to like Space Godzilla or some nonsense, which I feel should have came before a King of the Monsters movie. That looks. Oh my
Yeah. No, I could totally feel you that there should have been that King of the Monsters could have come much later. I would say, especially now that they have the Godzilla that we have now because of King of the Monsters, who's this new Super Godzilla because he got juiced up on that.
Yeah, he got juiced.
He got juice
got
on that
juice.
nuclear. He got that nuke to the mouth and got supercharged. I was like, now not only because of that, I was like, we had Mothra who helped him before we lost the queen, before she reincarnates like she always does. Because I think that's the thing that some people forget about Mothra.
Yeah, she comes back as a caterpillar all the time.
Yep, I was like, she always has different incarnations. I was like, she always is reborn at humanity's greatest need. I was like, but she's the one who showed Godzilla how to go thermonuclear and literally become a bomb. And I'm just like, dude, I was like, Godzilla getting superpowers now, like new powers that we haven't seen. I was like, this is insane. And now with new,
it's not that we haven't seen it. It's just it's more of a build up on, like, you remember Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
And they killed him, and then Rodan flew down and basically fused with him. And then from that point on, Godzilla had blue beams and red beams. Going forward.
That is true.
He got a Zenkai boost.
Yeah, he didn't get his Zenkai. I say, but the way that they handled it this way, especially with the whole nuclear aspect, I was like, it was a much different power up for Godzilla, especially with the fact that Rodan was bad. And I think people forget that Rodan goes back and forth just depending on the era and the story. I was like, Rodan will sometimes help, sometimes he won't. I was like, it's all dependent. And I agree that that King of the Monsters should have been the culmination of everything, and that there was still more that could have been done before getting to that point. But I think what they did right with King of Monsters is that they teased some of the other monsters that were being buried and kept locked up within the world and stuff, especially because of Monarch, that there's still so many others that we haven't seen. And yeah, they may not be a threat for Godzilla, but what if many of them all come at the king at the same time? I was like, it's going to be different there, especially since there's so many that we weren't shown. I was like, the ones that people know is like the spider, and then of course the lava monster, right? There's so many others that they didn't reveal, because when they pan out and you see Godzilla just standing there on top of Ghidorah, you see that there's like 20, 30, 40 different monsters right there in the dirt or in the sand that you can't really see, as everything's bowing down to them because they know. But doesn't change the fact that there could always be a revolution, as they say, and rise up against them.
Yeah, I mean, we still need Destroyer. We still need...
Oh, especially Destroyer. Destroyer, I was like, literally, they can do Destroyer. I was like, they could do Space Godzilla and then Destroyer, because remember, Destroyer is the reason that Godzilla Jr. ended up becoming the new Protector.
Yep.
I was like, so I mean, there's still so many.
We got Gigan. We got a bunch of monsters. Even though Gigan better not get his own movie, he better be a cameo appearance, because he runs away. He's a coward. He's 100% a coward.
Absolutely, Gigan is a D. I was like, I want to see a team up, because I wanted to go back to that Showa era. I was like, I want to see Jet Jaguar. I was like, I want to see Jet Jaguar and Godzilla take someone down. I was like, can we get that? Like, there's so many. Like, you have 60 years worth of monsters to really go across. There's still so many others that we could do, and there's also like we said, there's the absurd storylines. Like I said, we got Godzilla in space. I was like, we still got Space Godzilla. We got Destroyer and so many others. I was like, we got Mecha Ghidorah and everything else. I was like, hell, even Mothra at one point had her own film, just like Rodan had his own film. I was like, so we can even see other histories in the kaiju verse here on some of the others before what happened in King of Monsters, or maybe some of them we know get reborn. We've seen Rodan come back multiple times, just like we know Mothra comes back multiple times. There's so much potential there to do more with this universe, and honestly, I'm for it. I was like, I know that this one is definitely just going to be all about more monster fights, and I'm for it, but I think that's the beauty about Godzilla, is that there's so many different interpretations now. It's like, we have this one. We have Monarch that focuses on the human, the humanity aspect and living in a world where these titans and natural disastrous creatures exist. And then you have something like Shin Godzilla and Godzilla -1 talking about Godzilla not being a protector, being a true...
He's not.
Yeah, I was like, he is a force of nature. He is a pure force of destruction. And if you ever cross him wrong, this is the consequences of that. And I was like, and
like even with Shin, like, he's definitely not a villain. He just wants to. It's about survival. He just exists. He's just a force on the planet that exists, and he didn't even acknowledge human existence until they decided to fuck with him in some way.
Exactly.
So,
And that's what I love what Anno did with the whole Shin series, between Shin Kamen Rider, between Shin Godzilla, between Shin Ultraman, all of his work, right, with his Shin series, is that especially with Shin Godzilla, he showed that this is the darker side, as like he is not a protector, he is not anything. He is a force of nature and he is pure destruction. And if you set him off, these are those consequences. And when they brought out -1, oh my god, did they give Godzilla one hell of a charge up. Like, did you see his attack with the laser beam, the way that he supercharged his atomic breath and how his jaw actually split? Like, I thought that was insane. And I was like, and they didn't just show like his normal souped up atomic breath. No, this was an entire destructive laser beam that destroyed the entirety of the city. Like, it was so different of a take on Godzilla that I loved it. I was like, and that's what it's all about, is that we have so many different versions of this character that we've known for 60 years and we're still discovering something new about him.
Yep. Did you watch Godzilla Planet of the Monsters?
I did watch Planet of the Monsters, yes. I was like the Netflix films, right?
Yeah, that Godzilla Earth, that just massive being.
Yeah, right? And all the other ones, dude, that was something else. Like, that's another one. I was like, because you're talking about a Godzilla in space and humanity's trying to explore that. Now they're running across this beast.
Yeah, did you see like the graphics and stuff that had like the size comparisons, like just to put into perspective how big planet fucking massive planet Godzilla is?
Yeah, I did see that. It was insane, and I loved it. And I think
I actually want to get that on a poster. He's just so fucking big. Like Shin is huge too, but
I was like, also,
you got Shin is huge, and then you have Godzilla Earth, who's just like,
without a doubt. I was like, and speaking of Shin, right? I was like, the poster art for Shin Godzilla is phenomenal. And then when you look at, a lot of people were confused by the poster art for -1, but if you put them together, they literally are Godzilla's head and then his body, literally continuing that story. And I'm just like, you know what? This is the smartest, most artistic thing I've seen, and I'm all for it.
Yep. I liked -1. I like -1 a lot.
I agree. I 100% agree.
It is a fantastic Godzilla movie.
It really is. It really is. Now, for everyone, before we get on out of here, because we're getting to that time, we're gonna talk about a certain live action here that may not be so great, depending on the person that you ask. And I've got asked this questions here, and I know Jubei was ready for this one here. And that is our thoughts on the Yu Yu Hakusho live action. And a few weeks ago, if y'all saw here, is that we were actually talking about the success of the One Piece live action and what this could mean for live actions going forward. And we were saying that if there is enough attention to detail and enough care for their presentation, their visual effects, and their storytelling, like they did with One Piece, that live actions could be in a much better place. And I had known about the Yu Yu Hakusho live action for well over a year now when they announced it last year. I'm going to be 100% honest. I was not impressed with it. Like, visually, it's great. Story-wise, it is not. They rushed way too much. And like I said, I was like, Yu Yu Hakusho for me was so well done. Like, that was the anime that really helped to get me an anime. Like I said, my top 5 when we were growing up, when we were kids, me and Jubei, during our era, before y'all had all these fancy animes that are coming out now, when we were like having to wait till like midnight on a school night so that way we can talk about it at school the next day and not look like a loser when we were watching Dragon Ball and everything else. It's like we had Cowboy Bebop, Big O, Trigun, Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, like the classics back in the day. And Yu Yu Hakusho was so dope. And I was excited to see what they did. And I was very, very left saddened because it's like watching an enjoyable dumpster fire. Visually, it's pretty. Story-wise, it left me angry because of the fact that, one, they rushed the first story arc, which is the Yukina rescue arc. And then
No. Talk to him. Talk to him.
I don't know why they decided to do this. They rushed the Dark Tournament arc.
Well, hold on. They didn't rush it.
It was non-existent.
They omitted that motherfucker.
Yeah, they did. I was like, it was basically non-existent. And
that is arguably the greatest tournament arc in anime.
Exactly. When you talk about shonens, especially shonens always have a tournament style battle arc. And the king of tournament arcs was always YuYuHakusho, because the Dark Tournament literally gave the biggest motivations for all the characters, let everyone have the growth that they deserved, as well as had a driving force for the later story arcs that came on. Because this one had a lot of loss that really helped to solidify a lot of people's emotions and feelings. I was like, you cannot talk about Yu Yu Hakusho without talking about the Dark Tournament, because literally everyone saw the Dark Tournament and was amazed back in the day with this, because we got to see Hiei really show off, we got to see Kurama show off, and of course we got to see Yusuke do the damn thing and really get his massive boost. But especially for my boy, I was like, we got to see Kuwabara really prove that he isn't just, you know, a side character. He was one of the main core. Even if he wasn't a demon, he really got to show off his stuff and really inspire the rest of the team. Yeah, he may not have
we got to see arguably the strongest human character
in that universe.
without any demon powers or anything.
Exactly.
Just straight hands and spirit sensitivity. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. The strongest human there was. And he held his own. Yeah, he lost, but it was his pride, his will, and his strength that really inspired the rest of the team, that sold the Dark Tournament arc as one of the best arcs out there. And I heard that in this series, we didn't even get to see Kuwabara really get a shine at all. He didn't even use his sword except for maybe 2 or 3 times.
What this tells me is, guess what? They weren't getting a season 2, and they just had to do whatever the hell they had to do. Like, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. You could have had this whole first arc build up to the Dark Tournament.
Exactly.
Like, I personally look at the artifact hunt and all that shit as filler. You know what I mean? Like, is it skippable? Sure. Like, there's nothing really of consequence that happens there besides him learning the spirit gun, training under Genkai, etc. Like, you can touch on those points. But Dark Tournament deserved its time in the sun, because that is literally where a lot of from Dark Tournament onward, even to the Demon King tournament after that, like that's where the bread and butter of this series shows up. Yusuke goes from being like some high school punk with hands to like, oh, he's a potential existential threat, just off the fact that he's that strong and he exists. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that we really aren't gonna get that, because like, you can't now retro go back and try to do a Dark Tournament. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
You can't, because you literally
there's no way to do it. They shot themselves in the foot.
They did.
It should have all been setting up the verse, you know, focusing on his time in school, and, you know, coming to grips with the fact that, you know, he died, he came back, he's a spirit detective now, like doing little cases and shit like that, and just building up to. And what it should have culminated in is him fighting old boy that Genkai was looking for. I forget what the fuck his name. You know who I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
about. His name starts with an R. What the fuck is his name?
I can't remember right off the top.
Old demon dude that was like stealing powers and abilities and shit to do that, like shrink you and shit. Chance and shit.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, but I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of it right now. It's not off the top of my head. But no, I get you here.
You know, like they could have ended with that, or even ended with 3 spirit beasts or whatever, what have you, right?
Rondo, that's who it was.
Rondo? Yeah, Rondo. Yeah. So they could have ended with that, and then next season is Dark Tournament time. We see him coming to his own. We see him, you know, basically get handed by Toguro at first. You know what I mean? We see the growth, We see him launch that beautiful ass massive spirit gun with the spirit cuffs on.
Yup.
You know what I mean?
With the spirit cuffs.
With the spirit cuffs on, still out here making planetary attacks. You feel me? Like we aren't gonna get that.
No, we're not.
Like I like how One Piece did theirs. Like they're doing like all their early, they kind of mixed up all the early, and we know that they can continue from there. I don't know where this show goes if we don't have Dark Tournament. Where do you go from here? They can't possibly go into that detective arc with Sensui. They can't.
No, because that's going back.
There's no basis because you don't have the Dark Tournament for Yusuke to build up his power to be able to take on Spirit Detective that was there before him that's stronger than him. We don't have that. We don't have the events that transpire to get him to that point. And then we damn sure don't and then if we don't have that, we don't have the Demon King tournament either. So like where do you go with the show? But what do we do? Like action wise, like fight scenes, choreography on point. They did great. They did great things. Fantastic. Even him getting hit by that fucking car, jarring as that was, fantastic because we don't get to see that in the anime. So being able to actually see that and like a visible representation of that was dope. But now where do we go? Where do we go forward from here?
Exactly.
The answer is
nowhere.
And
exactly.
That's that.
That is exactly it. It's like we have nowhere to go at this point because I said this here is that the Dark Tournament should have been its entire own season. I was like they could have done like you said the smaller stories here. I was like all the filler episodes. I was like they could have done a montage of some of those smaller cases in a few episodes to kind of get and focus on the fact of the Yukina rescue because that's the first main arc with rescuing Yukina leading up to everything.
Yukina is really technically the first real arc that
exactly
is like character development.
Exactly. And that's what it should have been. I was like show some of the training with Genkai, show a lot of the smaller cases, focus on Yukina's rescue because that's the first main arc for really kind of setting everything up. Because Dark Tournament is too big and too important to speed through. I was like, that needed its own time to shine to really show off everything the characters had done up to that point and where it goes forward. And now they really can't. And honestly, I don't see this show getting a second season. I was like, there's no way they do a second season. If they do, I'm going to be completely like jaw dropped because I'm going to be wondering what the hell they do now. Because without the full depths of every
I got it. If this gets a sequel, and it's going to be really stupid. If this gets a sequel, they're going to do Dark Tournament, but guess who the big bad in the Dark Tournament's going to be?
Oh, who?
It's going to be Sensui. That's how they're going to do it. If they're going to do it, and it's going to piss me off.
The worst thing is I can see it. I was like, that's the thing is that I can already see them doing that, and it's like it does make me mad. I was like, no, don't. And that's the worst part about it is that with some of the way that some of these things get these stories written, I can feel it. And Winter brings up a good point. He said he's like YuYuHakusho felt like Ghost Dragon Ball Z. He's just like it was pretty and enjoyable, but it felt just like all over the place. And I agree, Akumu. We do need justice for the Dark Tournament because that is literally the tournament arc in any anime ever. I was like, you want to talk top tier tournaments? That is the one to surpass because none have compared to the Dark Tournament.
I want to agree, but I can't call it Ghost Dragon Ball Z because in Dragon Ball Z, death has no consequence. Death has absolutely zero consequence in that verse.
That is true.
Period.
The only one
you can just be wished right back.
Mm-hmm. They're like, don't worry.
Unless you're a villain, death has no consequence for you.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, he died. What do we do? Well, did we have the Dragon Balls? Nah, we used them last month. All right, well, we got to wait at least 10
it literally,
months.
there's no stakes. It's like, you just wish everybody back. It's, it's cool.
They blew up the planet. No.
You know what I give to get Genkai back? We can't. She died. She's gonzo for good.
Yep.
You don't have that in Dragon Ball. Like it's just not how the series works. Like death is but a construct and is easily avoidable.
Right? I was like, even it's so much of a joke that even all the spirits and the kings of the dead are just like, oh, y'all are back. They're like, y'all aren't gonna last anyways. The only one who stayed dead is King Kai. I was like, I
Yep.
don't know why.
And which is sad. Like, poor guy.
I was gonna say, I mean, he still exists, and they can still apparently the living can go visit King Kai anytime. But it's just like, how is it that King Kai is dead, but everyone else is not? It's just like, what the hell? I was like,
Yep.
is this an
I mean,
oversight?
it kind of also takes away the gravitas of like Krillin getting killed.
Yep.
It's like in the moment, you don't realize, oh, they can just wish him back. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? You realize,
Mm-hmm.
oh shit, Krillin's dead. You know, and that's or even when Goku apparently died on Namek, you're like, oh shit, he's dead.
Yeah.
You know, like but then once you watch the series and realize death doesn't really matter.
It really doesn't.
Even when he got blown up by Cell and shit, like it doesn't really matter. He was still around.
Yep.
Oh,
And then
and
Cell
then he
Cell
came
just
back.
came
When he
right
comes
back.
back.
He's just like, ha,
Yeah.
I'm alive. And then he gets blown up again. And then he's just like, well, never mind.
So I'll give it to you for like literally making death
Actually have impact.
mostly permanent, unless your
Yeah.
name is Yusuke and you have an egg. So.
Yeah. I was like, but that's literally just like that was the was it the Deus Ex Machina to bring him back. But remember, he had to work for it though. I was like, he didn't just get it. I was like, he still had to work to get his egg to hatch to bring him back. I was like,
Exactly.
that is the one thing is that he may have been able to come back to life, but he's one of the only people that really could. And it was like he had to also earn it. I was like, it wasn't just given to him because he was the MC.
Yep. And they said that like this doesn't typically happen. Usually, most people get devoured by whatever the hell's in the egg. Good luck.
They're like, yep, exactly. Good luck. It's like if you die, well, then you really dead. So here's to you. So with that being
like
go ahead.
like it from a visual aspect, fight scenes, like they captured all of that. We're getting. I think honestly, this is for people who haven't watched the anime, watch the show, get into the anime. We're probably not going to get a season 2 because they rushed. They basically stuffed 60 episodes into 5 hours.
Yep.
And you can't proceed without making major changes. And at that point, it's not this story anymore. It's something else.
Exactly. And that's the thing is that without this, I was like, they rushed so much that you can't have it. And this feels like at least it's better than what we got with the DN film, because I refuse to call it by the name because it does not earn that right to be called the official name. I was like, that is definitely for people who do not know DN, because if anyone has seen the original DN, you know that series is a masterpiece. I was like, the only good thing about the DN movie was Willem Dafoe. I was like, that's the only shining light, is that he did that character really fun. I was like, other than that, the rest of it is hot garbage.
Yep.
Straight.
And it's not like they haven't made strides with these live actions. Like, but it seems like for every one step forward, they walk a mile backwards.
Exactly.
Like we got like One Piece, highly enjoyable. I know we're gonna get more, and there's just so much One Piece that they can just keep going.
Yep. And from a fan's perspective, I was like, I actually watched that. Me, Akumu, and our roommate Dragon watched that. He helped to fill in some of the gaps, see where they made the changes in, because he's seen all 1,000 plus episodes, right? He's right. Dedicated to One Piece, and he said
he's
that
the One Piece fan, right?
Yeah, exactly. And he's just like, yeah, he's like, they rushed a lot here. I was like, he's like, I understand why they had to kind of make these characters meet earlier on. He's like, yeah, he's like, while there is some changes, he's like, that I'm not necessarily happy with. He's like, I can see why they did it. He's like, and it still feels cohesive enough to make sense for the changes to kind of speed through, because they kind of really rushed through the entirety of the East Blue saga, right? Yep. Because next up they have like really, I think he said the next focus is like Alabasta, and then of course Chopper's storyline and everything else, which they already teased is going to be in the next season. So it's one of those things of that there are times where you can rush, and if you do it right and it still makes sense, it's okay. Other times, no. If you do it wrong, then it's only going to be even more aggravating and to be more of a turnoff. Like you said,
and it makes sense with a show like One Piece because it's still ongoing. Yu has a finite ending.
Yes, it does.
We know how that show ends. You know what I mean? We know exactly where it ends and where it goes. So they didn't have to rush anything. we could have sat back and got a solid 4 seasons, just like the original anime, and been straight.
Yup, exactly. And it's the same with look at Rurouni Kenshin. The Rurouni Kenshin
Oh,
live action
I
movies.
was just about to buy. I was just about to say that. Like, I tracked all those down. I own them all digitally. Thank God.
I was like,
I couldn't find them physically, but those movies are great. That is live action adaptation done
perfect. I was
more
like,
than extremely well.
I was like
More
that
and you,
that is what you took a series that had a dedicated ending. You took all the major story points, condensed them down to movies, and it still felt accurate to the portrayal, and it didn't feel like anything was overdone.
yep, X.
And
I'll die on that hill. So far, Roni Kenshin. I'm gonna let you finish, but Roni Kenshin got the best anime live of all
without a doubt, on facts, facts. I agree with that 100%. All right, guys. Well, that is it for us. We're gonna go ahead and dip on out. We appreciate everyone who came and hung out with us as long as we did. We actually went a little bit longer than we would, but the Yu Yu Hakusho conversation had to go the way that it did here. So we appreciate all y'all so much for stopping by. And before we dip on out of here, Juve, let them know where they can find you at, my man.
Absolutely, yeah. You can find me at Jubei Sensei on social media platforms, and YouTube. Jubei X Sensei on gaming platforms, if that's what you like to do. You can catch me and Kofi, who's not here today, Mondays typically at 8:45 Eastern on VGP, and of course, hopefully, we will all be back next week, or whenever. I don't know if we're taking a break for the holidays, but you'll see me on Smash here, going forward, definitely more regularly. So.
Appreciate that. And yes, guys, you already know. Make sure y'all go and follow him. You can find some of his links down below in the description. So make sure you go check that out. And of course, y'all can follow me on all platforms at Bloody Nux, KNUX, on all social medias, and of course on all gaming platforms if you want to follow me over there. We will not be back next Saturday. I was like, we are going to be taking off for Christmas. I was like, especially since me and Akuma are going to be going back home to go visit my family and all that good stuff. But we will be back the Saturday after, which should be the 30th, I believe. Yes, it is the 30th, because we are going to be doing our end of the year wrap up. We're going to talk about some of our favorite animes, our favorite live action shows, our favorite movies for the year, kind of reviewing everything that's came out. We got some wonderful guests that are going to be coming on with us. Of course, shout out to my big brother, 108 Dragon CV, aka Lamethius, is going to be over here. We got Hamsoul Gaming going to be tuning in with us, and hopefully we'll have Kofi and Soul King back on. So y'all are going to look out for an exciting show on that day, so make sure y'all tune in at the usual time here at 11:15 a.m. Central Time, 12:15 p.m. Eastern. For all of y'all over there on the East Coast, and y'all already know what it is on the West Coast. I got that 9 a.m. early mornings for y'all. But we appreciate y'all so much for tuning in and hanging out with us and spending your mornings with us. But until next time, make sure y'all have a wonderful rest of y'all Saturday, and we'll see you in the next one. So tune in to the United States of Smash next time, guys.